Welcome to the Base Coat Brainiac podcast. My name is Austin Hauser, and I am Chief Brainiac over here at Base Coat Marketing. Today, I am pleased to introduce Michelle with Jill's office. I've invited her to this podcast because they have solved a particular problem that many of you face in your business today. That is answering the phone, nurturing your leads, pre-qualifying your prospects, and setting those estimates. So this is all sales 101 kind of stuff, but it's really the lifeblood of your company. So even if you have an office manager, I believe Michelle has some ways that you could actually save some money. So before we get too far into this, Michelle, thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here and provide our listeners with some value.
Thank you so much, Austin. I'm so excited to be here. And it's funny you say 101 because it's really true. I mean, answering your phone is like the basic part of a business, but it's so funny how often it gets so overlooked as just not something that needs to take a lot of attention or training in, that there's so much money that's left on the table just because it's either ignored or not done right. And so sometimes the basics are some of the most important to revisit just to make sure you got your bases covered.
I couldn't agree more. And I have been pressing this not only on our clients, but anybody that I have the chance to talk to. And that is the fact that the COVID rush is over. People are back to work. That demand is no longer there, but the supply in most markets still is. A lot of guys got into the trades during that time frame. They found it to be a very profitable time. But as those curves start to come down, we are back to pre-COVID levels where you have to fight to get those sales in.
Absolutely. It's interesting because we've definitely seen that just, we take over 1 million calls a year for our clients. And so we pick up on the trends on what's happening on phones, in lots of different industries and across the US. And it's definitely back to pre-COVID time on just how many people are calling in, how they're closing on calls and all that kind of fun thing.
Yeah. And it's wild for the guys who joined or who have started a business during COVID because they've only ever known the good times, right? And takes a whole other sales mindset to really nurture these leads during these slower times. So before we get too far into this, though, I do have a pressing question. Who is Jill and what's her office all about?
That's a great question. So there's no real Jill. We all go by Jill. It just seemed like a good name for a receptionist when they were throwing out names for, starting this company, and it just kind of stuck. But we're basically, we like to call us the happiest company to work for on earth. We actually made a call center a fun place to work and have insane retention compared to the rest of the industry, just because we focus a lot on who we hire and just making sure we have an amazing culture, because we realize that if we keep our employees happy, then they're going to treat callers a lot better and just be in a better mood on the phone and take good care of them. So that's who we're all about. And we just love connecting with customers on the phone. And so we can help our clients out.
I love that so much. When we talk about creating raving fans, it really does start with your team. You need to create a raving fan culture amongst your team, and they're going to pass that on to your clients. So I think you've done a great job there. Okay, so let's dive into this because I brought you on because you have insights. You have data. You mentioned you take over 1 million calls. What's the stat there?
1 million calls a year.
Yeah, that's insane. So I would love to break that down like by the minute, by the hour, but so you have experience in not only our industry, but the trades industry as a whole. And I know you guys have some of our clients on your client list. So that's why I have you on here, because they've had nothing but glowing reviews for you guys. So what I want to do is provide our clients with, or our listeners with, some value first.
Sure.
Now, when we talk about answering the phone, again, this is sales 101 kind of stuff, but I do want to break this down. What is the recommended ideal time to lead? So somebody calls in or submits a form. How soon do you need to call them back?
I mean, it's all about speed. And, with technology advancing, it's like we got to just keep upping our game. It's a different world out there of just people wanting an immediate answer to their questions. And so, and the other thing that's really changed is everyone expects more 24/7 responses now. So where it used to be just, maybe your Walgreens open for, that emergency medication. Now people are just expecting that when they have a question that they can hopefully get some sort of live help. If not by phone, then at least on their website through chat and things like that. And so it's just really important to make sure that you have your team equipped to be able to handle that whenever someone is reaching out, there's someone there available to talk to them. And I think this is becoming increasingly important with the advent of AI. I am a huge fan of AI. I love geeking out on it. And every day I'm finding some new way to use it. But I think as that grows, it's actually going to create this greater need for actual human connection, because there's some times where you just don't want to talk to a computer. You want to talk to a real person. And especially when it comes to things with your home and figuring out, design and remodeling and upgrades and different things like that, of making your home sure your home's taken care of. Sometimes you can answer things just, browsing the website, maybe a chat bot and things like that. But there's times where you actually just want to talk to real flesh and blood. And so I think that that's going to become increasingly more important to set you apart from your competition.
I had my wife, who's the exact same age as I am. I'm 35. She called me a boomer the other day because I like to talk to people on the phone. I don't like the prompts. I don't like to have to navigate, a chat bot or something like that. So I was going to say,
agent, you're magically typing in, right?
brutal, right? So I was going to save that question for last, but since you brought it up, AI is a very interesting trend, right? And I think you've nailed it. It's something that it's going to have its time and place. It's going to be a tool, but it's never going to replace that human connection, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you're dealing with things, I mean, you don't want these situations, but when you've got an upset customer, you're going to be able to make sure you avoid that negative review. And often the negative customers, if you can handle them right, can turn into one of your biggest raving fans. So making sure that you've got, again, someone there to live, to listen, to validate, to make sure they're getting the help they need to address all those things is super important.
So I do want to bring up a question because you brought up 24/7 service. So you guys are a 24/7 call center, correct?
We are, yes.
So where are you located at? Is that international, stateside?
Yeah, we're based out of Salt Lake City area.
So that's brilliant. And I think what you get there is quality candidates, right? You get people on your team that are stateside. They understand our traditions here in the United States, and they're able to answer the phones effectively. And 24/7, not only, I think this is, I don't know if you guys brought this up in the past or not, but that actually is a big boost to your ad campaigns as well. So
yeah, that's very true.
I think a lot of people fail to realize that depending on the ad type, whether it's on Google paid search or your business profile on Google, which is a free resource, they'll actually pull those down when you're not open because they will negatively impact your results. So being able to answer the phones 24/7 not only is a great customer service tactic, but it'll put you ahead of your competition. So
absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things that's just really changed in the economy is it's really to be relevant on Google and to compete for those ads. Being listed as 24/7 is going to help you make sure you stay at the top.
It's brilliant. So, all right, time to lead. I think we all agree it is as quick as you can make it, right? A few seconds if possible. Now, what is your average time to lead? Let's say a lead comes in on your pipeline. How quickly does your team typically get back to somebody like that?
Yeah. Okay. So we've got two services with our phone. We have our inbound calls and then our outbound calls. So with our inbound calls, I mean, our goal is always to try to answer it within the first few rings. Obviously, there's sometimes where there's unexpected call spikes. And so when those do pop up, we have a lot of safety systems in check. We do a lot of data analysis to watch the trends and then to staff accordingly. But if for any reason a call comes in, and even if they hang up after 1 second, we call every single one back automatically. So that just helps make sure we're capturing all those callers. So on the inbound, obviously you want to answer it, be available 24/7 and then answer it, as soon as possible. And then on the outbound, our outbound services work a little bit differently. We have a dedicated outbound team that's trained in how to follow up with the leads and make those calls. Those ones can take up to 24-hour business hours, just depending on what we have in our queue that day for our outbound calls. But one thing we're really excited about is our programming team is working on programming a way where we're calling them cheetah calls, where we can call the leads within seconds. It's basically going to automatically convert it into an inbound call, and so that we can follow up on them immediately. So that's coming soon. But right now, we at least are able to follow up with them. It usually take like within 30 minutes, but for sure within 24 business hours. Though we know the faster we can get to them, the better. So we're excited about this new technology we're developing as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, and one important piece to that, I mean, and sorry if I'm jumping ahead, the speed of lead is really important, but another huge part of with leads is also just the follow up after the initial one. And that's where a lot of businesses drop the ball, not out of, it's not that they're not trying to do a good job. There's just so many hats to wear and so many parts of their business that usually gets pushed to the bottom of the to-do list and often doesn't get done. So that's what a lot of clients love outsourcing, is someone to actually follow up, 2, 3+ times on their leads, because sometimes they're just either not available or not ready to make a decision in that moment. And so you capture a lot more of the leads if you can have a good system or process in place to make sure they're followed up with consistently.
Yeah, and that was actually gonna be my next point. So when a lead does come in, they don't always answer right away. And I like to use the example of, if I'm at my lunch break at work and I'm sitting in an office environment and I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see your ad and I might click on it and submit my information, I might not be expecting you to call me right then and there, but I'm still interested.
Mhm.
So it's about maybe calling at a different time of the day or a different day of the week.
Right.
Now, how do you guys operate in terms of lead nurturing, is what we consider that? How many callbacks do you make? Do you send text messages, or what does all that kind of look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we really customize it according to the customer's desires. So you can request, I want you to follow up with them this amount of times. We've found the magic one, at least from our experience, is usually 3. Some will have us follow up to 5 times, and we can catch a few more. But usually, what makes the most sense for like return for your investment in that is up to 3 times. But we also recommend to follow up with them. Do another call out 3 months later or 6 months later, because you don't know if they're making another decision or just really drag their feet a long time, and everyone else they call has forgotten about them at this point. So you can catch a lot of other ones if you follow up even several months later. um, right now we don't do any texting, so there's a lot of other softwares out there that can do the texting part of it, but then we can at least help with the live call part.
It's brilliant. Love it. Now, you get a prospect on the phone, and I'm sure they're going to want to ask you questions, but you're going to also want to ask them questions to pre-qualify. And
Mhm.
we preach pre-qualification all the time. It's how you avoid those bad customers, right? I mean, we do it internally with us. I'm sure you guys do it as well. There's always going to be a company to customer fit that you need to work out. So what does
Mhm.
that process look like when you get them on the phone, considering the fact that everybody's a little different? So how do you customize that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when someone signs up, we have them fill out a call instruction form that basically allows us to customly set up their account. And we've taken enough calls that we kind of know most of the questions that get asked, but we don't know what it is particularly for your business. And so what we do is we just have you answer some questions, and then we set up your account specific to your answers. So when a call comes in for your business, the Jill's screen completely is taken over by your company. All of your information, the answers to your most frequently asked questions, the qualifying questions we need to ask on that call, the services you provide, if there's specific questions or information we need to give or gather about each of those services, depending on what they're wanting. And so in that moment, the Jill is completely your receptionist and answering according to what you want on that call. A lot of qualifying too is just pricing. So sometimes we'll give out minimums just to kind of avoid those tire kickers, and all that kind of thing can be completely customized.
Are there any particular pre-qualification questions that you guys have identified as a kind of like a life hack that you ask across the industries that typically results in a better performing customer?
That's a good question. Not that I can think of off the top of my head, because I feel like it is really specific to the business and the industry. But I mean, for clients who are only looking for higher end ones, I think minimums are probably the biggest thing, because you don't even want to waste your time going out for an estimate if they're not even the ballpark. So, and that's really across the industry, just depending on what kind of service you're providing. So, we have some clients who target for we're the most cost effective solution, and in that situation maybe that wouldn't be as big a factor. But if you are a more premier price service, then usually that question can really help to avoid wasting time. If someone's thinking they're going to spend $1,000 to paint their house, and really it's going to cost them several more thousand, then you really want to make sure you make that clear.
Yeah, so good. Now, so the setting, and actually, I did want to touch on that one more point there. So we actually call that your minimum viable offer. So
Mhm.
MVO, and it is the best way to discourage price kick or tire
Mhm.
kickers. right? Price shoppers. We use that in all sorts of different creative ways in the marketing side. So it's great that you're also reconfirming that on the sales side on that initial discovery call. So after you get somebody on the phone, you pre-qualify them. Now we want to get them on the calendar, right?
Right.
What does that process look like? And once you get them on the calendar, are there any follow-ups involved there via the phone?
Yeah. So again, this is just can be customized according to your needs. When it comes to your phones, I'm all about looking at the whole customer experience. And usually the more information you give them and the more you're touching up, not to an annoying extent, but that it helps them gain more confidence that you guys are really on your game as a company, and just helps reaffirm their decision to do business with you. There's always that a little bit of buyer's remorse sometimes after they're going with someone. So it can help just confirm, okay, yeah, this company's got me covered. They're watching out for me. So I feel like, calling, even if they book online, doing a confirmation call just to confirm we got their appointment. We're excited to come out there. If there's certain things we need to let them know to prepare beforehand, of ways they need to get their house ready, or, different situations that need to be taken care of before we come, then that's important to give to them. And then also after the appointment's done, giving them a call, a satisfaction call or a happy call to see how they felt about the technician. It's often helpful. The technician should always ask for a review, but also it's sometimes helpful for someone outside the technician. So if there is feedback, either good or bad, that would be really helpful to the company, then you're sure to capture that. And then also following up with them, whether it's a month later or a few months later, depending on what the service is, just to make sure everything's going well, see if there's anyone, they want to recommend. If you have some sort of program for referrals, it's great to mention. And if it's some sort of service where there might be reoccurring maintenance or anything done, then obviously following up with them on some sort of quarterly, annually, whatever it is, schedule, just helping to make sure they keep getting booked.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I think when a lot of guys think of an office manager, they think of, all right, we just need to get somebody on the phone and pre-qualify them and get the estimate out. And the consideration of what happens after that estimate kind of falls
Mhm.
off, where we need to make sure that they're still available the day of, maybe an hour before the estimate. And then, after the estimate's done, did they actually close? And if not, we need to follow up with them again. And to your point, calling a month later and asking for that referral is so, like, that's just, opportunities laying on the table there. And
Exactly.
it can chew up a lot of a person's time. So this is where I want to dive into some nuances. And the reason I invited you on here is because I think a lot of guys look at an office manager and they're like, I can never afford that. Like, I need to be a multi-million-dollar company to really be able to put somebody in that seat to answer the phone. So let's talk about just pricing. I know you guys offer different pricing depending on what type of service and how often you're looking to make calls. But what does that look like with Jill's office?
Sure, yeah. So we have a lot of different packages. It's really customizable, again, according to what your needs are. We offer both weekly and monthly packages, just depending on how you like to budget it. And then we are all based off minutes. So you're just paying for the time we're actually on the phone talking to your customers and then getting a message over to you about what happened on the call. On average, a contractor will spend about $800 a month. For us to be able to cover them 24/7, but that's just the average. But some pay less, some pay more. It just totally depends on what your call volume is and how much you're using us, whether we're taking all your calls or just the overflow or after hours. It just really depends. But there's no contracts. You can change packages, which is really nice for companies that maybe have really busy months and then slower months. And, what do you do with your office admin during those months? Well, we can just handle more or less according to what your needs are. So it makes it really nice just to kind of fill in the gaps both with, the coverage as far as the hours go, and then also just making sure, depending on how busy your phones are, there's always enough people available to answer.
Yeah, and I want to break down this pricing a little bit because I think a lot of guys, look at that and they're like, oh, $800, that might be a lot of money. But if you consider even hiring an international virtual assistant to do this kind of work, you're still looking at roughly $1,500 a month on average to answer the phone. And they might be sick. They might go on holiday. They are not going to be available to answer the phone 24/7. That's for sure. So this is what really attracted me to Jill's office, is the fact that you guys offer such a premium service in the States at a very reasonable price point. So That's all fantastic. Now, just to reiterate, you guys 24/7, you do both inbound and outbound calling. Your call center is located in Utah, so we don't have to worry about international and any sort of accents that may be involved there. So, in terms of your specialty in the painting industry, again, I know how you guys operate based on some of the clients you work with on our side.
Mhm.
What does your average set rate look like? So the number of calls that come
Mhm.
in, the percentage of calls that actually turn into a booked estimate.
Sure. Yeah. So with our painting contractors in particular, I mean, we're everywhere from, 2 calls a day to I think our biggest painting client right now gets about 200 calls a week. So, I mean, it just really depends on, what it looks like with your marketing and where you are in your business growth right now. But we've found, and this again can vary depending on your company, but about 30% of the calls that come into your business are usually new leads. The other ones can be, current customers with just a question about their, upcoming appointment, which is also important to have someone there to answer. Maybe sales calls, partner calls, things like that. But then of new leads, there's usually about 30% of your calls. And of those, we book usually about 85 to 90% of them for that job or that estimate. And again, that can totally vary. I mean, obviously there's a lot of factors to that, but that's the average across the board of what we've been doing.
Yeah, which is well above the industry average of about 70%. So, again, you obviously have trained professionals that customize their service to your clients, which is absolutely fantastic. So, take me through your process. I really want to break this down. I think this is where, even if you want to share your screen, if you have any demos,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
talk to me about how Jill's office works. If I was somebody interested in signing up with you guys, I think there's a lot of questions and the nuances of what actually can be customized. What happens when a call comes in? Where does it start? How am I notified? What type of reporting do you offer? All that kind of fun stuff.
Okay. Absolutely. And let's see. I've got a few screenshots here. I didn't come fully prepared for a full show or app, but I can show parts of it. So let me just.
And even if you want to just run through it, whatever's easiest for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Hold on. I should have tested before how to share my screen. Okay, I'm going to present, right?
Yeah.
Okay, oh, here we go. I don't know why I was starting with that. Okay, here we go. All right, so,
Stage. Here we go.
all right, you seen it now? Perfect.
We're good.
So we do have an app. A lot of people wonder, how do I get my messages? So we have a Jill's Office app, and after every call, we'll send you a message of what happened on the call. You do get a little, let me go forward to show that. You get an alert to let you know you have a new message, and then you go into the app, and it will list, who called in, any of the information that you want us to gather on their phone about their contact information. Also notes about what happened on the call. We'll also have a section if you have any custom questions in there that are, qualifying questions as well. And also any services that they were wanting, whether we booked the appointment. All that information will be through our app that you can access both mobile and on the desktop. And we also send the information over via email. So whichever way you prefer, we get that message over to you. One thing that's nice too is there's an easy way to reply back. So if you had more questions about the call, or if you're wanting us to call them back for any reason, maybe that time doesn't work and you didn't realize, and so you want us to reschedule it, you can easily send a message back to Jill, and then we can get them called back for you or clarify anything for you. So it makes it really easy to communicate back and forth. We also have here's kind of more of a desktop view of seeing all the calls that have come in. There's like the title, so in a nutshell what the call was regarding and then who they were, and then you can click in to view exactly what happened on it. Another nice thing that kind of sets us apart from a lot of our competitors out there is you do have your own assigned account manager or client success coach, and their whole job is just to make sure you're set up for success. So not only is it important for your callers to get taken care of, but we want you to be taken care of as well. We understand just the amount of trust it takes to have someone else answer your phones. I think of it almost like trying to find a babysitter. Like, you're not going to let just anyone off the street come and watch your kids. And the same is true with your business. Your business is your baby, and the phone is the front door to your business. And so we know what I guess, the amount of trust that it takes in order to have someone do that. And we just want to make sure you have a specific person assigned to make sure everything's running smoothly with your account. So you have their direct text and email and phone number, and at any time you can reach out to them if you want to change things in your call instructions, or if we need to, or if there are any concerns that come up, or anything along the way, any questions that you have, you've got someone specifically assigned to you to help. So that's kind of nice. And then here's just some more examples of, this is an email example of how you get the message of what services were selected and any custom fields and kind of the message that happened on the call.
Michelle, I want to ask a question. So you guys are able to field obviously inbound calls. Now,
Mhm.
if you were to get a lead via like an email or a text message, you guys are also able to make that outbound call and then provide all of the call recap through that app. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. Outbound calls as well go out the same way. And to request an outbound call, you can either put something through our app, or you can set up for a lot of our clients that get leads from, Facebook or your website, or any kind of other advertising that you're doing. You can either have emails auto forward over to us with the lead information and we call them that way, or you can set up a spreadsheet for leads to automatically populate in, and we can call them that way. Spreadsheets are another great way too, if you want us to call previous customers for any reason. Maybe you're doing a spring special or something and you want everyone to know about it. Download a list of your customers, send it over to our outbound team, and we can give them a call that way as well. So we'll use the spreadsheet to make notes, but then we'll also always send you a message through our app as well, so you know what happened on the call.
That's brilliant. And then as far as reporting goes, what does that look like within Jill's office?
Yeah. So you'll have within the app, you'll see a call log of all the calls that have come in, how long the call took, what happened on the call, which Jill took the call, and just even by the month, how many calls came in that month, by the week, and all that kind of thing. We're working on expanding those statistics as well. We've been getting lots of requests for just increased reporting as far as, number of scheduled appointments and things like that. So that is definitely something in our pipeline, but you are able to at least see everything that came in, what happened on it, how many came in, and all that.
It's brilliant. So I just want to reiterate how powerful this is. So when we look at interviewing for an office manager, and again, the fact that they might be sick or on vacation, they are definitely not available to answer the phone 24/7. And then the reporting involved here, the fact that they maybe don't already have industry expertise and know the industry and what questions to ask, you're unlocking a lot of potential here with one service that is kind of plug in. You just,
Mhm.
turnkey solution here. So for around $800 a month on average, I really cannot fathom a better solution for that particular problem. And again, I want to just reiterate to anybody listening in, I know this sounds like a sales pitch for Jill's office. Honestly, it's my big thing this year is impressing on everybody how important your sales process is going to become. It's a more competitive landscape, and we are not in the COVID era anymore. So something like Jill's office is going to be one of the better solutions out there for you. Michelle, have we not touched on anything that you guys offer or any other pain points that you want to bring up that you guys have solved?
I can't remember if we touched on this. We do also offer 24/7 live website chat. So that's another great way to be able to capture customers, making your website open all day long. I mean, I might not call a painter at 2 a.m. in the morning, but I'll chat with someone if there's someone there on the website. So that's another great way to capture leads. Really, your goal should be that any way your customers could reach out to you, to have someone there always ready to respond and capture them.
Yeah, so 24/7 website chat, and that is not a bot. That is an actual person,
Like the
correct?
actual live person. Yeah. So you don't have to
Yeah.
do the agent.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah.
So, it's brilliant. Yeah, I absolutely love that. So Michelle, if you had to, I guess, give any like last greatest insight, like, anybody listening in that either may not be able to afford your services or think they can't, or are just interested in other ways to explore how they can improve their business from all of the experience you've gained over there at Jill's office. Is there anything that you would like to scream from the rooftops for any of those listening in?
I feel like, I mean, kind of going back to where we started, I feel like human connection is about to become a really premier service. It already is. And as humans, we make decisions based off our emotions. And then we justify it by logic. And so making sure that you're always trying to establish that connection with your callers, both prospects and customers, that's what's going to get people to buy and keep coming back to you. Is just that trust, that connection, and knowing that when they need help, there's going to be someone there to help them.
Yeah, amazing. And again, guys, getting that time to lead down, answering those questions, getting those prospects on your calendar, making sure that they are a qualified contact. Those are all things that is literally a turnkey solution for you at your fingertips today. So Michelle, if anybody wanted to learn more about Jill's office and maybe how they might be able to benefit from that, where should they start?
Yeah, so if you just go to our website, jillsoffice.com, you can grab a free demo and then you can hear what our receptionists actually sound like. And I'm going to throw in a special that if you use base coat when signing up, then we'll give you $300 off. So anyone that'd like to get started, feel free to go check us out.
Fantastic. And we'll definitely include that in the description here as well. So base coat, go join up with Jill's office. We don't get any kickbacks from this, guys. Just want to be clear. This is strictly an offer for you. So thank you, Michelle, for being on here today.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Pleasure.
soon. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us on that episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that chat as much as I did. Now, listen, if you guys are hungry for more conversations like this, go swing by our website. It's basecoatmarketing.com/podcast. And finally, we are very open to feedback. So if we haven't covered a topic or there's someone you want us to chat with, please let us know. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next conversation for painters.